And so now we move on to our final speaker. I met Shannon some time ago when he was studying at the School of Oriental and African Studies, which doesn't sound like the kind of place you do an engineering degree. He wasn't doing an engineering degree. I met Shannon when he was doing a master's at SOAS, and I was working at SOAS at the time. So take it away, Shannon.
Thanks. Yeah, so my name's Shannon, and I'm a journalist. You all know what journalists do, right? I write about things like, for example, in Nanda's car, the babas and 10 people died, and then I'm there writing about it. If Rachel loses about 10 billion bucks for Petronas, I'm there writing about it. That's basically what we do, in a nutshell. I'm now the Malaysia bureau chief for the Straits Times, which is a Singapore newspaper, which means that I head the team of correspondents. We're all foreign correspondents because we work for a foreign press agency, and I have a team of 4 right now, which I did. It's not a very big team, but sometimes it feels like, well, you know, if someone asks, so what's your job about? I say, if anything happens in Malaysia, it's my problem. You all go and change government, it's my problem, right? If you all allow a prime minister to steal a certain amount of money, it's also my problem. So everything becomes my problem in this country. So it actually helps my life if you all just be very calm, don't do anything amazing, right? Then my life becomes very simple. That's largely a journalist life. I started writing in the newspaper, as in actually reporting, about 21 years ago, which was when Davina was born.
Yes.
By the time I was just doing freelance, just dabbling in it. The reason I did that was, since I was very young, when I was about 12, I thought I could write. I'll get into that a bit later. I can string 2 sentences together, it makes sense, put it that way. And then so I started freelancing, but at the same time, what was happening was that there was a little Asian financial crisis. Any of you heard about that? Things were really bad. So that's about 97, 98. And my brother was already studying an engineering degree in the UK, in Manchester. My dad was an engineer also, and he used to work for RTM. So he was a broadcast engineer. My brother went into electronics. And so here I was, I just finished my SPM. I did all right lah. And I was figuring out what to do. So at that time, the Asian parent advice is do a professional degree. I didn't want to do medicine. I didn't want to do law. So I guess since if my dad and my brother can do engineering, I think I also can make it lah. So I did engineering at a local university, private local university, multimedia university, which is now in Cyberjaya. Back then it was in Malacca. So I took the course. I liked it. I think engineering is interesting. Not a fan of the math. Someone was asking about calculus, I walked to the other side of the room. But I think what engineering taught me, and I think you might agree, is that a lot of engineering is about troubleshooting, right? I need this to be done. I need a television to be designed which is half as thick as the previous model. It's your job to figure out how to do it, right? So I like that about engineering. I can't design a TV to save my life. That was what my brother was doing. And I remember going for my industrial training. It was an electronics company, a semiconductor company out in Klang. And so you try and draw all these circuits which will appear on a PCB board and so on and so forth. Then I realized I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. So as Rachel explained, you have to go into these personal statements and write about why I want to become an engineer. The only thing I was clear about was why I don't want to become an engineer. That was the only thing that I was clear of. And by that time, I was in my final year of my degree. So it was a no turning back. Just finish it, get your little scroll, and then go and apply for a job. At that point, I was still freelancing as a reporter. And I decided, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be a highly paid engineer. I'm going to be a rubbishly paid reporter. That was a life decision I made at that point. And I remember my mom was like, well, you know, whatever makes him happy, and then walks out of the room. My dad just went, and that was his only comment on the decision. But he made known his feelings through intangible ways. After you graduate, I did this, I don't know if anyone else did. I took about 3-6 months to relax, get myself together. I would wake up in the morning and find a newspaper clipping of an engineering job left there by my dad. This went on for about 3 months, and then I got tired of this. And so I decided I would start applying for my journalism job, get a job, and that'll be the end of the conversation. How did I get that to happen? Story not too dissimilar to yours. I'd already been freelancing for the new Straits Times. I was good friends with the deputy group editor at that point. And so I marched in one day, knocked on the door, had some small chat. Hey, so how's things, blah, blah. And then I said, well, you know, if I wanted a full-time job, could I get one? And then you encounter this inevitable question. But I thought you studied engineering. Didn't you want to be an engineer? And I said, well, turns out I didn't. And so she said, okay, yeah, you know, give me your CV, blah, blah. Fresh graduate, what CV do I have, right? I give you my degrees, pro, and that's about it. And got a job at the New Straits Times, right? And the only thought I had in my mind at that point was, I can write fairly decently. I'm interested in this job. And so this would be my life. I was basically trying to cruise through life. This wasn't a decision made because, you know, I'm going to work really hard and make something of myself as a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter or anything. It was just like, this feels less like work than engineering. That was the decision-making process. But to turn the question around, if you ask me, I was always asked at that point, why didn't you become an engineer? But if you turn the question around, why did you become a reporter? I'll say this for becoming a reporter. Once you guys get to college, or some of you might already be there, what happens on your regular day would be learn some stuff, write a report about it, and then someone tells you, oh, this part of your report was good, this part of the report not so good, you could improve on this, blah, blah, so on and so forth. And you pay for that privilege, right? You have to pay your college fees. Journalism is not very different. You go out there, you learn something, you write a report about it, your editor tells you whether it's good, it's bad, this is rubbish, I'm going to throw it into the dustbin, whatever it is. At the end of the process, you get paid for it. So it's kind of like a paid scholarship. For the past 21 years, I've been on a paid scholarship, learning things about the world that I probably wouldn't have if I was not in that position. I don't want to talk about all the different places I worked at, so on and so forth. At some point, I did get on the Chevening scholarship, which means that the Queen of England paid for me to have 1 year sabbatical in London. That's where I met a strapping young woman of 12 years, was already working at student recruitment at SOAS. So my engineering degree was BEng electronics, majoring in telecommunications. The only thing about that fits my role now is communications bit lah. I did my MA in SOAS. It was Global Media and Post-National Communication. So again, got the word communication. So I guess that fits into the storyline. So what I gained from the engineering degree, as you mentioned, this troubleshooting, this problem-solving thing, you find that I found as a reporter that most of the problems in your day is about troubleshooting. You need to get this story, you need to get this information. How? Especially in a place like Malaysia, we have something called the Official Secrets Act. How do you get this information that people don't want you to have? How do you be resourceful? Who you know? What kind of processes you can use to actually get that information? So a lot of the job is not actually about whether you can write, although that was what I thought I could do, and that's why I picked this role. But it's about being resourceful. And also the other thing, which is my strong point, is that I'm a busybody. So I want to know about everything. I like knowing about as much things as possible, and that really helps in the job. So if you find that, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this engineering degree because that's a smart thing to do, right? But if you find that you are a busybody, you're very resourceful, and you enjoy being poor, you can speak to me after this.
Thank you, Shannon.